Hey, what's up, everyone? Aaron Bowman here again with Jennifer Webster, and thank you for coming by and listening to Living in Connecticut podcast and on our YouTube channel here. And today we are going to be discussing getting your home ready for the spring market.
So the things you want to do to get your home ready.
Oh, you can't just jump right into it. You gotta ask me how my day was. Nah. Okay. Hold on a second. It's starting to actually warm up here in the office, so we can lose this. So, big truck going by. You probably heard that in the background. So yes, we are going to be talking about the spring market. Jen just wants to jump right into it, so we'll let her go. All right, Jen, what should we be getting ready for?
Typically, when you want to get your home ready to go on the market, you want to minimize any clutter that you have in the home. Take down personal photos, tuck those away somewhere.
Now, how much decluttering are you saying we should do?
My opinion is less is more.
Okay.
That way, any potential buyers that come into your home can visualize their stuff better in the room than having all of your things filling up the room.
Gotcha. Now, have you ever, I know my answer for this personally, but have you ever been on a showing or on a listing appointment where you walked into the house and your first thoughts were like, holy hell,
yes,
there's a lot of stuff in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's a few homes I've gone into. There's actually one I had to walk out of the home halfway through the clients looking and leave them in there to do their thing because it was overwhelming with cats and the cat smell. And being highly allergic to them, it just wasn't
working out for you.
No.
Yeah, that's that's one of the things. It's amazing how you can walk into some of these houses and you're just like, oh, this one's going to be some work. And then you walk into other ones and you're like, does anybody even live here? Like, with our large family, our house is constantly a mess. And then I've walked into other people's houses. I'm like, you have a dog? I'm like, I can't even smell or like see dog hair anywhere. You would know I have 2 shepherds in my house.
Yep.
So, decluttering, depersonalizing, really good spring cleaning, so to speak, since we're talking about putting your homes on the spring market. That is really one of the things you want to make sure you do.
And like, especially when you clean up your basement, even if you still have things that are going to be in your home, it's best to put them all into the center of the basement than have everything against the walls. Because 1, you can actually see how big the basement is. 2, you can see if the foundation's in good condition. If you hide it with stuff, it's harder for an inspection. And also it looks less cluttered, looks like you have a lot less stuff if you just put it in the center. Yeah,
that is true. And one thing about basements is you want to still pay attention to those because people are going to walk through those, or your attic if you have a walk-up attic or anything like that. It's not just cleaning the kitchen, the bathroom, the living room, that sort of thing. You really want to have the whole house in order, especially, it doesn't have to be in order when you meet with somebody like myself or Jen, when you're looking at listing your home. We'll give you pointers on what we think you should do at that point. But when you start letting the public in, or photos or 360 virtual tours or video walkthroughs, anything like that, like you see on some of our listings, you want to make sure that all that stuff is done, because I could come in and shoot a house in an hour or two, photos, video, depending on the size of the house. But now if I'm moving stuff from room to room to get a clean shot, to make sure there's not boxes or anything in the way, or, kids' playpens and everything else, it makes it a little bit more time consuming, and there's only so much I can edit out in photos.
Well, there's only so much you're allowed to edit out in photos, because you can't alternate a home's appearance all that much. I mean, you can darken a wall or lighten the light in the room, but you can't do anything else.
Yeah, no,
that's false advertising.
True. That's part of the ethics that I just went through, or still going through. But anyways, you don't need to hear about our whole continuing ed. So what else do you think somebody should do if they're watching this, thinking of putting their home on the market this spring? Outside of decluttering, what are some of the other things that you recommend to your clients when you meet with them?
Steam clean your carpets, give the floors a good washing, wipe down walls, or put up a coat of fresh paint, depending on, how old or dingy the paint is in a room. If you have a broken window, fix the window, little things like that, just so that when someone walks in, they're not opening a ridiculously squeaky door or that's falling off the hinges. You want to tidy up.
Yeah. One of the ways I look at it is if I'm going into a house, I want it to be available to as many buyers as possible. And you see a lot of first-time home buyers or VA buyers. So you have your FHA loans, your VA loans, and those houses have to be in really good condition. And if they're not, a broken window pane, peeling paint, really small things could kill the whole deal. Correct. After you've taken an offer. So I kind of look at it from that aspect that, okay, now that we've decluttered and we've cleaned and neutralized any odors or anything like that, okay, now what are we looking at cosmetically? Now, if your house has a crumbling foundation like we have here in the eastern part of Connecticut, then you're looking at a cash or conventional offer anyways, so you don't have to worry too much about the FHA or VA buyers. But yeah, I kind of look at it from that standpoint is what is an inspector going to notice? What are they going to say that needs to be fixed? So sometimes I even recommend, I don't know if you've done this, but I've recommend having, the homeowners have a home inspection done, a pre-inspection before it even gets put on the market. Yeah,
and walking around with as many inspectors as we have, you and I on our own can, pick out the things that we know, okay, if someone walked in with an FHA loan, would the FHA process allow them to even proceed on making an offer based on some things in the homes? So like you said, you want to make sure that you can get a wide range of buyers, out there and coming in to look at your home. So you want to make sure it's in decent condition for any type of loan that they have.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than getting through parts of it just to have it fail.
Right.
The inspection. The inspection's normally the biggest hurdle, especially if they're doing some type of financing. So, all right. So we've got declutter, clean everything. What about repairs? What do you suggest for repairs? I get asked this question once in a while. I like to get your input.
Well, like I said, if there's a broken window pane, fix it. If there's a squeaky door hinge or a loose, fix it.
What if their bathroom's a little outdated? Like, what are some things that you think somebody could do to their bathroom or kitchen to
I wouldn't worry so much about things being outdated, because honestly, what I'm seeing and hearing is that a lot of people like the older looking stuff now.
Okay.
And they're purposely making their house look dated.
So the 80s are back?
Yeah. Even some things before that. But I wouldn't stress so much about something being outdated. I would be more worried about it being clean.
Right.
Because even if it is outdated, if it's clean, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
So if your grout is gross and dingy, spray it with bleach, scrub it, put a fresh coat of, a thin new coat of grout over it if you can. But, cleanliness and tidying everything up is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Because let's say you have a house that was built in the 80s and you have still popcorn ceilings.
Some people don't care about that.
Yeah, there's no need to rip all that stuff out because that's money you're really not going to see back. Now, you could change a light fixture too, or some wall plates for your light switches if they've been painted over 15 times.
That's something
those are 65-cent fixes and stuff like that. But the overall flow of the home, location of the home, the size of the bedrooms, that's going to have
the biggest impact.
The biggest impact. Now if you have the money and you wanted to get a little bit more for your house, then you can remodel the biggest areas that people look for, and that's the kitchen and bathrooms. So if you were to put $5,000 into your kitchen, maybe you kept the cabinets but got granite countertops.
Yep.
That you're going to see a return on, as opposed to, hey, we're going to put all new carpet throughout the house. Have it steam cleaned, unless your animals or your kids have destroyed it completely, where there's fibers coming through and stuff like that. But other than that, I think it should be pretty good. Now, what about outside the home?
Again, tidying up. I mean, if you have weeds and overgrown bushes, put weed killer down, trim up the bushes, get rid of things that are old.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot you can. I think the biggest thing outside, because I know, for myself, I send people to look at the house from the outside first, make sure the neighborhood's, what they like and stuff. I just realized our gutters are overflowing here at the office. Make sure it's a nice area. It's what you're looking for, because I know from taking my own photography photos for houses that I can make the property look more appeasing from the outside than it actually is. It might be on a corner and the house next door has 2 cars up on blocks and a camper. I'm obviously not going to put that in the photo. So drive by, take a look. So I think having, even somebody come in and do your yard, if you need to have you didn't clean up the leaves after the fall. Now we're talking springtime. Have somebody come in and do a spring cleanup, new mulch on all your garden beds, maybe plant a few flowers, stuff like that, bushes,
and get
that
rid of
of
the things that are overgrown and just not.
What's so funny? You'll get comfortable on video sometime. Don't worry, it's okay. Okay,
yeah,
so
curb appeal is
huge. Yeah, it is important because I don't want to. The worst thing as a realtor is not doing your due diligence or having your clients put a little skin in the game and some effort by driving by the property, because then you show up and they're like, yeah, we don't even want to go in and see it because of the way that it looks on the outside. So when I'm working with buyers, I'm sure you do it the same way. I'll go through the MLS listing. I'll look at all the disclosures. I'll see what kind of, previous information on the house is available online before I even have to go there. So I have a house right now that has a bad foundation that's listed, and it's a severity code 2 rating. It's nothing terrible, but it still needs to be fixed. And I cannot tell you, since I've had this listed, how many agents I've had to text and say, hey, did you look at the disclosures online? And they're like, no, why? I'm like, it's got a severity 2 code rating foundation. And most of them are like, well, what's that? And I'm like, okay, let me give you a call.
Every single time,
because I don't want my sellers to have to be out of the house for these people just to show up and be like, oh, we didn't realize there was a bad foundation. So make sure your agent's doing their due diligence and getting all the pertinent information for you. So I had some clients look at one the other day, and it had a list of requirements just to go see the property. And then as you read deeper into it, on the second floor, on the north facing wall, a pipe broke and it was all this water damage. And, it's a nice property if you have the money to fix everything up, but they looked at it and said, no, it looks great from the photos, but we're not going anywhere near it. So, but I don't know where I was going with that.
Neither do I.
Curb appeal. We need to worry about curb appeal. So, all right. So now we've got, I guess we probably should have stepped this back a little bit, but if you're thinking of putting your house on the market, as always, all of our contact information is down below. Make sure that you reach out to us, text, call, email, smoke signals, what have you. If somebody's thinking of listing, what is the first thing they should do as a homeowner?
Contact an agent.
Yeah, contact us, not just an agent, us, not any agent. No problem putting that out there. So you do want to meet with an agent. And when you go to meet with somebody, what's the first, what's that conversation like?
Usually it's, sometimes they can be a little intimidated by you coming into their home and they're worried about things being in certain places and they're very apologetic. I've noticed that a lot with going to meet for a listing appointment. But once you sit down with them, you connect with them, it makes it more comfortable. And then you can actually go through all the documentation. It's not as overwhelming.
Right.
I lost my train of thought.
No, it's fine. So it's all right. It happens. So with, when I go to meet with somebody that's looking to list their home, usually, when I first started, I had a PowerPoint and I had all this stuff I was bringing with me to do. And I really just show up with 2 sheets of paper now.
Formal.
And I just actually have an honest conversation. I'm like, here's the houses in your area in a certain radius in a certain time frame that are sold that are similar to yours. And here are some pictures. What do you think compared to your house? And they're like, well, this one's in better condition. This one looks nicer. So you help them realize what the actual value of their home is, as opposed to them having some type of strong connection to it. Maybe they've raised a whole family there. They've been there 15 years and now they're selling and they think their house is worth more than it is. And this even happens with family. No offense, Dad, but he thought his house was worth more than it was. But, he didn't update anything in years. So that being a whole nother story, it's really just having that conversation with the individual to make sure they understand what the value is in their home. And then that's when we go into, okay, here's some education for you. Here's how we sell the home. Here's how we use social media, how we do photos, videos, and everything like that. And it does, I think, seem overwhelming for people. And sometimes as agents, I know myself, I have to remember that not everybody buys and sells houses monthly. Right. It's, you maybe buy or sell 2 houses, maybe 3 in your entire lifetime. So it is a little overwhelming, but I think just having a real honest conversation.
Right. And I think that's where I was going with what I started with is anything can be overwhelming and intimidating, but if you sit down, have that conversation with them first before you really get into it and make them comfortable. And that's how you can know from the beginning if you guys are going to work well together too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And then, so I've met with the client, the prospective home seller. Yep. What's your next steps for the people that are watching us that want to list in the springtime? I know we're 15 minutes into this. We really haven't even gotten to a lot of stuff. No. There's a little bit of a different format for us this time around, but so you've met with the client, the home seller, and they say, okay, yeah, we want to list our home with you. What's the next steps after that?
Next steps, first question I would ask is, when are you looking to be out of here by? That's my number one question when they agree to list. And then we work backwards from there to figure out when certain things need to be done when. So, for example, first thing, declutter. Yeah. Get rid of the extras, get rid of the junk, spring clean like you've been wanting to. And again, less is more because you want potential buyers to come in and picture their items in that space, not yours.
Right.
Next, I would go over the inclusions, exclusions list, because some people are very adamant about taking certain things right off the bat, so you get that out of the way. And then the biggest question that they always ask is, well, what do you think my home can go for? Right. So again, you come in with your market report, you go over the numbers with them, show them similar houses to what they currently have, and also we have a calculator that we use to what they bought the house for, what they have left to pay, and what will be walking away with.
Right. It gives you an idea, and the way it's a fancy Excel spreadsheet, basically.
Yeah, it is. But after you go over all of those numbers, you can come up with a reasonable price to list the home for. I mean, ultimately, it's the owner's final choice, I guess you can say, on what the home gets listed for, but you can kind of direct them in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's what I tell homeowners all the time. Listen, I'm not driving the bus, but I'm giving you a bunch of different paths to go down, and you can pick which one you want to go. And if you want your home to sit on the market for a year and not sell, then sure, list it at $1 million. If you want to sell it in 2 days, then list it below value. If you want to get the most money for your house, then the goal is to list it at the appropriate price, so we get as many offers as possible, and hopefully get that bidding more.
Right. And if you want as many offers as possible, you have to make your home available to all types of loans.
Yes.
And then again, that's where...
And available for showings.
Right.
Too. That's the other thing.
You do have to be flexible on that. You can't just say you can only view my home between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Right.
It's going to take forever to sell your home doing it that way. You have to be flexible. Say you're having a party at 2 o'clock on Saturday and someone wants to see the house at 11 a.m. that morning, you have to allow them to come in. You got to
make it happen. Yep. And maybe they'll stay for the party. You never know. But so, I mean, overall, that's kind of, our thoughts on coming into the spring market. We do end up getting a lot of questions and a lot of activity this time of year because people are like, it's a new year. We want to move. We want to upgrade, downgrade, get out of the state, let somebody else move into the state. So there are, a lot of questions around this. So we thought we'd do the video and the podcast today to hopefully answer some of those questions you might have. Again, if you have any other questions, all of our contact information will be in the show notes or description. So feel free to reach out to us. And I mean, it can seem like a daunting process, but the sooner you start it, the better off you'll be.
Right.
So any final last words there, Jen?
No, the only thing I can say is even if you don't pick us as your agent, make sure you pick an agent that you connect with because you don't want to have awkward conversations or feel uncomfortable or, you have to trust the person that they're going to sell your home. You know what we need to get? This just popped in my head, like one of those 1950s spiral things where you will pick us as your agent. We just spin it so it hypnotizes people. Yeah, no. But no, it is true. And also meet with more than one agent. Don't just meet with the first person or use the first person unless it's us that you meet with. But yeah, I mean, it is important because if you are
two different personality types. You're just going to clash the whole entire time, and it's going to be stressful and painful.
It's already a stressful process. You don't need any unnecessary stress. So you have to make sure that you get along, you connect, you understand each other. You as the owner, you have expectations. Do you want, one good thing is, do you want the agent in the house every time there's a showing?
Yeah.
I mean, that can be time consuming.
Right.
But some people are.
Yeah, some people want that.
Yeah.
Especially I see that more in houses that are either very, very high end or have structural issues, and they don't want somebody viewing the property falling through the floor. And my dog's with us at the office, and she might bark at this person walking by. So I apologize. She's currently counting cars as they drive by. But anyways, that's all I have for today. We're about 20 minutes in, so I guess we're good. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching, and we will see you on the next episode.